Lord, if you let me get skinny one more time, I promise I won't mess it up. Amen.
Hey, how are you? Happy Wellness Wednesday. Listen, happy 2024. Wednesday is my day that it's all fitness all day. I'm training clients all day long. And it's also Wellness Wednesday, so I thought this would be a great day to really like in the center of the week, in the mid section of the week, where we really think about how to infuse a little bit more health, wellness, nurturing, um, grace. Yeah, let's talk about that word grace, okay? If you don't know who I am, I'm your girl Paula Marie. Black Girls Do Pilates too. You can find me on all social media outlets as Black Girls Do Pilates number 2. I'm also a visibility marketing coach, and I go by Ebony Biz Diva. So any of those handles, you can find me all day long in these internet streets. Let's talk about burnout. So, as we're walking and stepping into this new area of 2024, it's like a rebirth. It's like a start over. It's like a do over for some. For me, I start over in three different sections of the year. So, January is not really my start over. I start my upcoming year thinking about my upcoming year in July and August. So I do things a little bit further out, and that's basically because in marketing we have to have our marketing calendars forecasted so far out of what we're going to do. Then we have to program and we have to come up with everything from what we're going to do, how we're going to do it, who's going to do it, date and time we're going to do it, location that we're going to do it. So I come from that world in the marketing sector of corporate and government wellness. And so that has helped me to think the long game instead of, okay, it's the new year, let's get it together. Regardless if you think of it right before the new year or whether you start thinking of it further out the way I do, when you start thinking about your upcoming year, you have to step back and analyze what's happened in this current year that you're in or what we just stepped away from a couple of days ago. It's important for us as entrepreneurs to be able to analyze, but then also as women, because we have the weight of the world on our shoulders. Even if you're not an entrepreneur, there's still some analyzation that needs to happen. You've got to go back and look at what happened. And you got to really sit in it and come up with the reasons why things may not have happened the way you wanted them to or planned them to. Also, we need to think about all the things that happened well. Give ourselves a pat on the back for that so that we can replicate, so we can rinse and repeat. As women, we have such a huge responsibility. When women are amazingly well, happy, healthy, whole, making great decisions, feeling comfortable and confident in ourselves, there's a magic that happens with us. There's a glow that happens with us. Like there's this light that shines on us. When things are not going well, okay, it becomes super heavy. And so I wanted to go over and talk about this thing called burnout because I think I have a theory on why 2023 may have been as challenging for some as previous years. But as I talk to women, just women, and I train women. So today I will have touched 50 bodies today in training inside of the studio. When I'm talking to women, women are tired. Women are burned out, like burned all the way to the freaking ground. And there's this thing where I think during COVID, during the pandemic, we had this amazing space to sit still for a second and really think about what is it that makes us happy? What's going to make us happier? What are we missing? Why can't we have those missing elements in our life? How can we put those in our world, right? And we had time and space to do that with the shutdown. And as businesses slowly started to open, and some are still teleworking 100% or partially, you still have that space to do that, right? However, as the world started to open up even more in 2023, we're seeing a shift where women are feeling overwhelmed. The women I'm talking to. Remember, I touch like 50 bodies 3 days out of the week, right? So I'm touching 150 to 200 people, 200 bodies, or I'm touching a body 2 times throughout that, having multiple conversations. That's 150 to 200 opportunities for me to have conversations with women. And women are tired. They are burned out. They are trying to hold on to the things that they've tried to implement during the slowness of the world a couple of years ago. And it's hard for them to hold on to those things because some spaces of the world, they don't really care about none of that. They just want to get back to the regular status quo. They want you to work a little bit more. You've proven that you can work from home. So now they want that productivity times two because they got to validate that you're working from home. So I tell people all the time, I feel like you work more now when you telework or partially telework than you ever did when you went in the office. You know what I'm saying? And there's no connectivity if you are teleworking. And if you are back on the grind, you're dealing with like home and family and children and parents and maybe part-time jobs. And if you are entrepreneur, growing your business. So the burnout is extremely real because the world has started to open itself back up in full swing. And there's no space in that for the life that you started to create for yourself or dreamed for yourself. And so trying to achieve all the things is a big factor. So I'm doing a 10-part series. It's a blog series, so you can catch it. The link is below to get on my email list. The 10-part series, every week we talk about a different area of burnout, a different way that you can start to infuse some systems, some strategies into your world when it comes to that. Because I don't want for you, if you experience that, a reoccurrence. And if you didn't have that, I definitely don't want that for you at all. We have to start putting ourselves first as women. And that's a hard thing to do. We also have to start understanding that we we are super capable, but we may not have the capacity in that moment. We're super capable to do all the things. We're hybrid talented, okay? We have many skills that we can do. All right. We are all the things. Okay. As Black women, we are all the things. But in no way, shape, form, or fashion does it mean that we have to be all the things all the time to everyone. Yeah. So I wanted to extract just a couple of items from the blog that we just did, and I wanted to go over it and just kind of make sure that we're being intentional when it comes to how we're moving, and also to put some things in your head so that you can say, I never thought of that, right? I never thought of that. So only 3. There's about 7 or 8 inside of the blog. So definitely click the link below to check that out. But also in the comments, let me know. Did you feel burned out over the last 12 months? Let me know. Do you feel like you're on the cusp? Are you on the cusp of feeling burnout right now? Right? Do you feel like people are pulling at you and you're you're overwhelmed. Let me know. So these are 3 out of the seven things inside of the blog that we're going to go over, right? So number 1, and I just pulled these randomly, they're in no order, right? So number 1, you want to develop a realistic financial plan and budget, because nobody is happy when your money ain't right. Okay. So this is the beginning of the year. There's a ton of resources out there to help you to get your budget under control, to start a budget if you don't have a budget, to get your debt manageable. It will take a process, believe me, but it's definitely possible. So definitely try to consider seeking professional advice. If you have a business bestie or a friend that's super good with money and you don't mind talking and sharing with them, definitely do that, right? Because this is what I know about money. If you know how to budget money, if you know how to save money, and if you know how to chisel down your debt, when you know how to do that, you can do that over and over and over and over again. It doesn't mean that you may not fall into some traps or some glitches, but definitely when you know the skill of how to chip away at debt, how to make it lower, how to put more savings in the bank, to sharpen and strengthen your relationship with money and your finances, that's going to be a huge weight off your shoulder. There's a lot of stress that happens with us as women, especially as we get older. Our cortisol goes up. That's highly related to our stress levels, right? Cortisol is not good. That's where we hold on to like extra fluffiness, okay? I'm going to say it in a kind way. That's why we can't get rid of things, because the cortisol is helping us hold on to that weight. That weight is physically on you now. So we're not talking about the mental and the emotional strifes in this thing called burnout. We're talking about physical weight that you're carrying around that's now impacting your health. So when you're right with your money, everything is right with your spirit. At least it is with me. I don't care if I wake up and I get paid and I paid all my bills and I got $10 left. I'm the happiest chick on the planet because I paid all my bills. Like I figured that thing out. But I also know how to multiply money and know how to generate revenue. Because like I said, we as Black women, we're very skilled. We're very plentiful, right? In how we create. And a lot of things that we create and that we can do, people will pay you money for it. Whether you go to a job and they pay you money for it because you just don't want the stress of owning your own business, or if you're an entrepreneur, you know how to replicate money. You know how to do that. So definitely think about your finances, because that may be a huge, I'm telling you, if it's not right, it is a huge weight. Emotionally, mentally, yeah. So definitely think about how to diversify revenue streams to reduce having that one paycheck can be stressful. When you've got multiple streams of income, that one paycheck can now be earmarked for one thing. The other streams of income can now be earmarked for other things. If you want to really work on that, seek professional help. There's tons of Facebook groups that you can go to, but definitely get your finances together, because that definitely affects you physically, mentally, emotionally, right? Like you got, my spirit cannot rest when my money ain't right. All right. Number 2, all right. You want to build a support network. And this is super important for my entrepreneurial friends, right? But it's also important for my women, my sisters out there that are working on different goals and not having time to do things, right? Because you're working a second job and, you know, you've got too many things pulling at you. But you do need a support network, you know, either through mentorship, someone that's going to help grow you in a different way, joining entrepreneurial communities, right? Attending networking events. You can do these locally, then they are free for the most part, right? Join activities that you enjoy. I'm definitely thinking seriously about joining a line dance community because I like to dance, and I don't get to go out and dance anymore because, well, you know, men ain't right. So we ain't gonna talk about that. But men ain't right. Okay. So nobody wants to go out on dates anymore and go out. But then where do you go? Are there still places that you can go that are safe? Like, it's just as we get older, the opportunities are there, but we just have to look for them a little bit more. You definitely need your support. And it needs to be your good girlfriends, but also outside of your good girlfriends. Surround yourself with people that are going in the direction you want to be in, right? Don't wait till you're able to be in those situations to connect with people. Connect with people now, right? Start to expound on where your thoughts are going, how you're feeling. That's going to breathe some new energy into your day to day. It's going to give you some different things to focus on. It's going to shift the narrative of how you think and feel about yourself, but also you're going to be able to see what your world can look like when you start to have that support system. Because the support piece of it is someone encouraging you on the things that you're working towards, building towards, and dreaming of. So you want to have that support so that the things you're dreaming, we can manifest those into reality. So let's really look around. What is our support, right? And really think about, OMG, this is going to be an amazing space, right? The next thing that I want to talk about, and this is the third. Remember, this comes from the blog, Are You or Have You Experienced Burned Out? It's a quick read if you want to read the entire list of things that you can do to help you stave burnout away, or to help you to overcome, or to even if you feel like you're on the cusp, you on the tip, right? You about to fall off the cliff of burnout. Definitely check that out. It is part one of a 10-part series, and the 10-part series talks about different ways that we can stay burnout in different facets of our life, right? So definitely click the link below that's in the description so you can get into that. This is the third and the last thing we're going to talk about today. Is I want you to really start to prioritize self-care. Now, this is something that's heavy. This thing is heavy for me, baby. So I want you to turn the volume up. I want you to listen in. I want you to lean in, right? Self-care is not something you do the first 90 days of the year. I didn't mean to step on nobody's neck if I did. Self-care is not you dieting for a short amount of time without learning how to eat realistically in the world. Self-care is not about joining a gym, hiring a trainer, joining a Pilates class, and not showing up. Self-care is this internal thing, this internal relationship that you have with yourself. This love, this attention that you want to give to yourself. That's what self-care is. Self-care is you listening to the signals your body is telling you and not ignoring them. Self-care is making you the priority repetitively, weekly, daily. It's got to be some pieces of your daily routine that are just for you. Self-care is the energy that you want to receive, and you give it to yourself. You give yourself that energy so that you in turn can give that energy out into the world. So self-care is super important. We have to prioritize it, not make excuses for it. Because in the world of health and fitness and caring for yourself, there are no excuses. There are no excuses. I can give you tons of examples of clients that I've seen over the last 20 years. There were no excuses, right? I have a client who just had hip surgery in the fall. She's back. Hit me up right before Thanksgiving. Hey, I'm ready to come back. I need a private. I need to make sure I'm doing things right. Yeah. Now she's in class using all of the modifications that we talked about and worked through in her private. There's no excuse. There's clients that I see. There's one who suffers from depression because of a deep grief of losing a child. And I know that personally. So there are times you don't want to get out of bed. You don't want to put one foot in front of the other. Self-care is when you do, because you know that you need that for your mental, for your spiritual. Self-care is not being able to walk, not having transportation, taking the bus in your wheelchair to go to your class for your private sessions. Yeah. Leaving the session, willing yourself, hitting the button to signal for the bus to stop, willing yourself on the bus to go back home. There are no excuses. There are no excuses. There's just variations and modifications of how you nurture yourself. So let's start to have some real conversations with ourselves when we're in the car driving, right? When we're standing in the grocery line and our minds are just going, before we go to bed at night, when we wake up and we've got like 10 minutes before we get out of bed. Let's have some real deep dive, honest conversations about how we're going to put ourselves first. Because Black women, you cannot carry the whole world on your shoulders and not be healthy and strong enough to do the work. You just can't. So you've got to prioritize, have some healthy conversations. And some of that may take a little bit more work, may take some counseling, it may take some therapy. You know, we can't always do the work on our own. Sometimes these things are ingrained in us based off of how we grew up and our home structure and what was around us and what we had access to and what we didn't have access to, right? I get it. I've been doing this 20 years. But what I want you to really think about is to add regular exercise and to understand that we start slow and steady so that we can be consistent. Because consistency is how you prioritize. We don't get comfortable in the slow and steady, though. There's going to be some times you got to elevate. You got to jumpstart. You got to step outside of what you're used to. So if you're going for a walk for 20 minutes, maybe the walk increases to an hour. Maybe we shorten the walk to a jog and a walk, right? For 20 minutes. We go back down to 20 minutes, right? Because we've increased the intensity, but now we're jogging and walking for 30, right? Now we're jogging and walking for 40. Now we're jogging for 5. We're walking for 5. We're jogging for, you see what I'm saying? Whatever the variation is to elevate and escalate where you are in prioritizing your self-care, do that. Stop buying things and putting them in your house that you know you shouldn't have. Just don't buy the things. Then that way, when you go out, the things are special. Like I have a friend that comes to my house and she hates my house. She hates my house. There are no chips. Okay. There's no candy. Now, I'm not saying I don't buy them. When I crave, and I'll go and I'll get me a bag of Cheetos. And then when it's done, it's done. It's not that I don't buy cookies, but I just don't keep them in my house. I gotta want them. And then when they're gone, right? So I'm not saying that there's not the let me starve myself, let me suppress myself, let me restrict myself. Those things never work because then you go back to those things in abundance, overeating, right? Not working out at all. But when you work out and you eat well, you sleep well. You're getting adequate rest. Your brain now has the clarity that it needs to be able to make those hard decisions that you need to do. Find activities that bring you joy and relaxation. Everything doesn't have to be hard and fast, but we definitely have to have to prioritize self-care. If we don't prioritize self-care, we're going to be looking at ourselves the exact same way that we started this year with. Whatever your goals are, you've got to be able to look at yourself and say, you know what? This is where I really elevating it. Even if it's I'm going to spend $50 and join a gym, even if it's I'm going to spend $24.99 and I'm going to download this online app or work with this instructor online. You have the tools available to you. You have more than enough. It's just up to you to decide what works for you. So, listen, on this Wellness Wednesday, I want to thank you for coming in and talking to me about burnout. Don't forget to share with me in the comments if you've experienced burnout over the past 12 months or if you feel like you're about to step into burnout, right? If it's something that you fear, definitely share, because you sharing that work that has happened to you is going to empower someone else to really take a hard look at themselves and say, you know what, I'm burning right now and I need help. I need help. So we went over 3 of the multiple things that are found inside of my blog. That have you experienced or are you experiencing burnout? Please take a look at that blog by clicking the link that's in the description below. And just to recap on this Wellness Wednesday, we pulled out 3. The first one, we dug into our finances because ain't nothing right when finances ain't right. If money ain't right, ain't nothing right. We ain't sleeping, we not eating, we stressing, cortisol levels are high, ain't no weight being lost, ain't nothing happening. So we got to get the money tight, right? Number 2, you need a good support system, a good support network. Some of you may not have it. This is the time to take an honest look. I said last year, I only want people that make me happy and make me feel whole, make me feel safe. If I'm around you and you don't make me feel safe, you're not part of my network, you're not part of my circle, you can't get none of my energy. Yeah, that worked for me, okay? It was hard. Y'all know I'm a Capricorn, but you know what? Sometimes as Capricorns gotta, and when we cut deep. Yeah, have a good support system, a good networking system. And it has to be someone that sees you for who you are, not who they want you to be. It also needs to be someone that's where you want to be. Have mentorships, have relationships with people that are in places that are higher than where you currently are. That's going to elevate you and motivate you. Number 3, we talked about prioritizing self-care, because if we do not prioritize self-care, I'm telling you, it's going to be a hard road. I wanted just to announce that this is brought to you by my business workshop. We're having our live Black Pinterest live presents in February 2024. Black Pinterest Live Presents is content creation for your brand culture. What does that mean? We're working with entrepreneurs to help them to get very safe and clear and strategic on their brands, on content creation, ways to eliminate the stress and the toll. We're doing all of those things right now. I want to make sure that I tell you that part of Black Pinterest Live is virtual. So definitely go and get your tickets. You can click the link that is inside of the description below. But also, we have an in-person VIP section, and our in-person VIP segment is going to be here in the DMV. Day 1, we're going to be working with content creation in real time. It includes a professional photo shoot, and the second day is what I'm the most happy and proud of for, because the second day is going to be the ultimate spa experience. Now, that ultimate spa experience is going to be hosted at Balian Springs. Balian Springs is an all-inclusive spa that's hosted here in the DMV area, and day 2 because we are trying to keep burnout away, because we are staving what burnout can be and is for each and every one of us. We are spending our day 2 inside of Balian Springs Spa. It is 3 levels, multiple restaurants, a full bar, and we have an amazing workshop that is going to be our personal private workshop. And the rest of the day will be totally up to you to spend however you want to spend it inside of Balian Springs. So definitely take the time to join us at our Black Pinterest Live Presents here in the DMV. But if that's not your jam, definitely make sure to get your tickets here at www.blk.com. The link is scrolling underneath you now, www.blkpinterestlive.com. And I can't wait to see you. So if you're thinking about a business, if you are inside of your business and content creation doesn't work for you and you're struggling with that, this is absolutely the summit for you. Tickets are absolutely free. You just want to click the link that's in the description below. Go to www.blkpinterestlive.com. Thank you so much for hanging in there with me today. This is going to be fun as we think about all of the amazing things that we can do and that we should do inside of